My name is Mary and I study zoology at Glasgow University, which means I love all things to do with animals. Today on GSC at Home, we're going to learn about some exotic animals you might recognise from TV or in books. We're also going to learn about some native animals you might be less familiar with, but can actually find here in Scotland. First, let's discuss what biodiversity is. Well, bio stands for biotic, which means living, and diversity means variety. So biodiversity is the variety of living things, like plants, animals or bacteria. An ecosystem is all the biodiversity within an environment, so in other words, all the living things sharing a home. An ecosystem with high biodiversity is a healthy ecosystem as it supports a wide variety of living things. Like humans, animals have jobs to do. An animal's job within the ecosystem is known as its niche. When animals carry out their niche, they keep the ecosystem healthy for other animals to live in. Us humans also gain a lot from having healthy ecosystems, like the food we eat or water we drink. There are millions of different species or types of animals found all across the world, and many haven't even been discovered yet. Let's take a look at some native and exotic animals and discuss some similarities they have in common. Here are two animals on screen. Can you recognise any of them? Here we have on the left a tiger and on the right a Scottish wildcat. What similarities between these two animals can you think of? Pause the video and have a think. Try writing down any suggestions you have. I've thought of 3 similarities between these two animals. Let's see if you thought of any of these. Just like the domestic cat, these two animals are both members of the cat family. Did you know there are 41 different types of cats around the world? The tiger is one of 7 big cats, and the Scottish wildcat is one of 34 small cats. Another similarity these species share is they both use camouflage to blend in with their environment. Although their coats appear quite different, if you look closely you can see they both have a stripy pattern on their coat. Whilst hunting for other animals, this camouflage helps them stay hidden amongst the trees before ambushing on their prey. An important similarity between these two species is their niche. Remember what a niche is? This means both these animals have a similar job to carry out within their ecosystem. Both these animals are known as top predators. This means they prey on other animals but don't have any predators themselves. Remember, biodiversity means the variety of living things. So if there's too many of one species, then there's less variety of other living things. So by hunting on other animals, top predators are keeping the diversity in biodiversity. Next, we're going to look at these two animals. Can you recognise any of them? Here we have an orangutan on the left and a red squirrel on the right. Can you think of any similarities they share? Let's see what similarities I found. You may have noticed that both these animals share a bright red coat. Why do you think this is? Both these animals use their hair to regulate their body temperature. That means at night, when it's cold, their hair can keep them nice and warm. And when it's hot, their hair can keep them cool too. Another similarity between these two species is they both like to live high up in the trees. The orangutan and the red squirrel are both experts at treetop living. Living high up in the trees means that these animals can find lots of fruits and nuts to eat and are also kept safe from predators on the ground. These two animals also share the same niche. They're both seed dispersers. This means they give the trees a helping hand by spreading their seeds all around the forest. When the orangutan eats fruits, the seeds from the fruits pass all the way through the orangutan's body. They are eventually put onto the ground where they grow into trees. Red squirrels collect nuts from trees all around the forest and bury them into the ground, saving them for later. A lot of the buried nuts aren't actually eaten and instead grow into trees. Seed dispersers like the red squirrel and the orangutan are really important to have within the ecosystem because trees not only give us oxygen to breathe, but they also provide homes for lots of other animals. So by spreading seeds, the red squirrel and the orangutan are creating a more biodiverse ecosystem which benefits animals and us humans too. Here's another animal pair. Can you recognise any of these? Here we have on the left an African elephant and on the right a Scottish wood ant. Now I know what you're thinking, what could these species possibly have in common? What suggestions can you think of? You might be surprised, but these species do share some similarities. Let's see if you thought of any of these. These species are both social animals. This means they both live in close groups. For elephants, these groups are known as herds and usually are around 6 to 20 individuals, all part of one family. Scottish wood ants live in very large groups known as colonies. These colonies can be as large as thousands. Can you imagine a herd of 1,000 elephants? Living in groups, large or small, means these animals can share food and protect each other from predators. Another similarity shared by these two animals is their herds or colonies are both led by strong females. For elephants, this female is known as the matriarch. She is responsible for leading her herd across vast distances to find the best food and water supplies. She uses her extraordinary memory to remember where the best supplies are and passes this knowledge down on to her daughters, who will be future matriarchs. For Scottish wood ants, this female leader is known as the queen ant. Unlike the matriarch, the queen ant spends a lot of her time sleeping in the nest, while her thousands of working ants build the nest and collect food for her. Although, the queen ant is however responsible for birthing thousands of working ants, so she has got her work cut out for her there too. African elephants and Scottish wood ants are also both known as ecosystem engineers. This means their niche in the ecosystem is to build homes for other animals to live in. Elephants do this by stomping down on the grass and bushes as they travel large distances. This might seem destructive, but actually it provides the perfect homes for small animals. Scottish wood ants also create homes for other animals by building nests. Ants collect materials like leaves and soil from vast distances when they're building nests. They eventually move on and leave behind lovely fertilised soil, which is a great home for small creatures. So whether it's elephants in Africa or wood ants in Scotland, many animals and humans should be thankful for ecosystem engineers. Now we discuss some similarities between three animal pairs: tigers and Scottish wildcats, orangutans and red squirrels, and elephants and Scottish wood ants. Well done if you came up with some suggestions today. And don't worry if your suggestions weren't mentioned in this video, as there's many more I've not even discussed. Finally, what similarities do all 6 of these animals share? Write down any suggestions you have. One thing all these animals share is they are all endangered. What does this mean? If a species is endangered, this means it is at risk of no longer being able to survive in the wild. Unfortunately, for many species, including all 6 mentioned today, human disturbances are the main reason they're endangered. One common threat facing all the animals mentioned today is habitat loss. Habitat loss means that humans are taking away wild environments and not leaving enough space for animals to live. Remember our top predators? The tiger and the Scottish wildcat both rely on lots of trees and space within their environment for hunting. Remember, their camouflage coats will only work if they can blend in with a thick forest environment. So without lots of trees and space, our top predators can't successfully catch their prey and are left hungry. Our treetop living pair are also affected by habitat loss. Lack of trees to live within means the orangutan and the red squirrel can't get access to food or protection from predators. So our important seed dispersers can't do their job without a healthy forest environment. Remember, elephants live in large herds. This means there are many hungry mouths to feed. Habitat loss means that there's less space for elephants to roam and find food to feed their herds. For Scottish wood ants, cutting down trees destroys their nests, leaving the wood ants homeless and unprotected from predators. So without large forest and woodland ecosystems, our ecosystem engineers can't survive to carry out their important niches. All these animals depend on their wild environments to survive, so it's very important that we humans make sure we leave enough space for animals to survive, carry out their important niches, and keep the ecosystem healthy. How can we change our mindsets about nature? Forming a connection with nature is a great way to appreciate just how much we humans depend on it. Here's some tips for how you can connect with nature wherever you live. Being around nature can be inspiring and benefit us physically and mentally. Next time you see an animal in your local environment, think carefully about what job it might have within the ecosystem and how this animal's niche is benefiting the ecosystem and the whole world we live in. We all benefit from having healthy ecosystems. We must be aware of this and grateful for all the work that animals do for us. Next time you're at the supermarket or eating your lunch, think about how you're benefiting from food made with the help of lots of animals. Maybe you could give back to nature in some way by making spaces for wildlife to live and carry out their important jobs. Thanks for joining me today on GSC at Home. I hope you've had fun learning about some exotic and native wildlife. If you have a question or would like to share some similarities you thought of between our animal pairs, then tag us on social media using #GSC at Home. That's it from me today. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.